Epic Gaming Night is made possible by the support of patrons like you. Welcome to the Epic Gaming Night Podcast, a podcast about the stories and relationships board games create. I'm your host, Roy Canny, and with me as always is Matt.
Hello.
And Rob.
Hello, everyone.
How's it going?
It's going great, man. It's going good now. Also, Mark's here. Mark's in the chat from the get-go. Man.
Hey. I guess you want to talk about our Hearthstone games. Me and Mark Kale played a couple Hearthstone games the other night.
Yeah, you did.
I randomly decided to download that game again just because I'm like, because it like runs better on my phone. So I'm just like, hey, cool. So I just played on mobile, and I apparently played that game a whole lot because I had a whole lot of like in-game dust or whatever. I could just make whatever decks I wanted basically. But hey, it was fun. It was cool. But yeah, Mark says we're tied up, but he picked the easy class to play in the Tavern Brawl. So I mean, and when we played the game with our custom built decks, it's completely different. But yeah, Cabin Hype.
Yes, Nick. Hello, Nick. Nick.
I'm just immediately leading out like, so anyway, Ozark, yo.
Bro.
I love watching your like little side chat conversations that you have with people.
Well, we've also been talking about it on Facebook, and he posted something, and I was like, right, and then like 10 plus other people had like this super long conversation. So the next time I got on Facebook, it was like, so many X people have added comments to your thing. Then I was like, man, get that down.
That's awesome.
So, yeah, I go off on these little side tangents. Well, because we become friends, I think, with the people that talk with us on the show and are in the chat. And, like, I'm also friends with some of these people in social media. And so it's, like, one of these things like, oh, my goodness, like, we're all talking. And Ashley, the board game girl, she played Werewolf Legacy.
Oh,
super jealous.
Snap. Yeah, I saw a bunch of pictures of that. So
super jealous. However, her husband still has not painted Gloomhaven. So
that's this weekend, by the way.
Yeah.
Our game of Werewolf Legacy is this weekend, so we're gonna be playing through Saturday. I basically have the day booked to play one game to see how far we can get, and I got my copy in. I've been like looking through the rules, and I mean the basic rule book, I mean it doesn't really go into much of like things that are changing, and it's just kind of like, oh yeah, like the games will be different as things go along. I mean you play in different like chapters, and it's kind of interesting because I can already tell there's like things that are very legacy-like, and I'm like, I wonder how much this changes up. I try to not look at it too much because you can switch moderators in between chapters, so I'm just like, I don't know what I'll be. I mean, I'm sure I'll moderate the first chapter, a couple chapters or whatever, but I mean, I have a lot of other friends that are coming too that are kind of like, hey, I might want to moderate one or whatever, so we'll have to see how that goes. But one of the concepts I really like is the fact that you're part of a family, but like you have like a family name, and then there's specific people that you're on a team with, and you have to like vote the same like the first night, like you work together as a family the first night. So that's kind of interesting. But then after that, you're like, wait, you're part of my family, but you might not be on the same team as me. And then you name each of your characters each game. And then your characters just die off, and they're just different members of your family that end up just dying off. And it's like, oh, well, this is the next generation. So it's kind of interesting. Yeah. And each game has like a year associated with it, so you're like playing like the next year, and then the next year, and then the next year, you know, or the next however many years. I think it's not just 1 year, but you know, it skips through things. So
I'm pumped, and I loved your picture with the werewolf mask. Like, I'm not the werewolf.
Obviously, I don't know why people would accuse me at all. Did you see that, Matt?
I mean, you're definitely the werewolf. You didn't?
It seems like something you would do.
Oh, bro, he bought a wolf mask, the hair, all stuff. Like,
I did see the wolf mask. I think Was it last week when we were doing the podcast you were showing it off? Or you were talking about doing it?
I was talking about doing it. It's over there in the corner. I should just wear... Maybe next week when we're talking about werewolf, I just wear the wolf mask all episode. No, I'm just kidding. I wonder how far we'll get into the game, because it's supposed to be a bunch of games, so we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. I think it's gonna be fine though.
It'll be interesting. I feel like it's one of those things.
I've got to leave like around 4:30, which I'm now kind of bummed about. Like,
yeah, I feel like if we don't bust out as much of it as possible, like today, it's like one of those things. Like, or the day when we're doing it, it's just like, how are we gonna get back to it ever? You know. So
yeah, no, we need to try to knock it out as much as possible.
So it'll be fun, and there's a whole bunch of different people coming, so it should definitely be an interesting mix to see how things work. Because Werewolf's such an interesting game when you get different interesting people together. You know. It's kind of cool.
Boom.
Yeah. So, hey,
super cool.
I don't have a whole lot of news or anything. I was scouring Board Game Geek and, like, Board Game News and Dice Tower News, and I watched, like, Board Game Breakfast to see if there was anything that I'm like, is there any news that I want to talk about? And I'm just like, I feel like everybody's saving up their announcements or news since Essen's, like, in like, a week. So everybody's like saving it up for if there's any announcements, and anything else that's exciting has already been announced because it's going to be released at Essen and in the future. So good stuff, though. Good stuff.
Is there anything coming out at Essen that you guys are excited for, or anything like that?
I didn't even like look that closely. Like normally I would go through and like look at the list of what's coming out at Essen. Like I could like look that up, but
I didn't look it up either.
I am consistently surprised by everything that comes out because I look at nothing. That's the way I like it, where it's just like, oh, wow, whoa, what? That's an incredible
we talked last week about how I hadn't been able to play as much games as I want to. So currently I'm just like, I want to play the games I have.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
But that might be a little bit of a reason why I haven't been like, what's new? What more do I need to spend money on without playing it? Because, I mean... Unlike some people, I try to play all of the games I own before moving on to other games.
Nope.
You're like, why would you do that?
Listen, I tried to play the games, but just nobody wanted to play with me, so that's why I'm trying to sell Cry Havoc right now. Anybody would like to buy Cry Havoc? Boom. I'll sell it to you.
Me and Matt like Cry Havoc.
Yeah, that's good. I want
to play it. I bought it to play it. I even want to buy the expansion. The expansion looks great. I want to.
Let's play
Bro, the cabin.
That's the thing, right? It's like, oh man, I really want to play this game. When can we get it in? Clearly, the cabin.
No, but here's the thing. If we have enough people at the cabin,
yeah.
What if we did Dead of Winter?
8-player?
Where we did what is it?
The Warring Colonies.
You gotta figure out the rules for that.
Yes, Warring Colonies.
Warring Colonies.
You know what I'm gonna do about that? About what you just said. You got to figure out how to play it. So He Who Shall Not Be Named should be coming. Yeah. And when he comes, I'll be like, hey, we're gonna play this. Now I know the rules. You confirm them for me. He will read the whole book because he doesn't trust me. And so if I say we're gonna play this, they're like, nope. Let me find out what it really is. And
you should just text him and be like, hey, I want to play this game. Why don't you learn the rules?
He won't do that, but if I stick the rule book in front of him, he'll read it.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah.
Nice.
And he'll be one of those guys where he's like, you can't do that because on page 7 it says no. And it's like, screw you, bro. I hate you.
Lee's a rules lawyer? What?
Oh, he's very much like he very much follows the rules.
Every time
if you do something shady and we're playing a game together, like let's say you do something and it's pretty like I don't know, kind of cool, kind of twist a little bit. If he ever grabs the rules, that's his way of saying, I don't trust what you just did, and I want to make sure it's legal.
Let me make sure you can actually do that.
Yeah.
Every time you say he who shall not be named, I just want to say Lee who shall not be named.
Nope.
No, it's not funny.
Oh,
yeah, I'm looking at these games. I'm just like, I don't know what these are. Like, I feel like I'm out of the loop. I don't know. I mean, I listen to podcasts a little bit, but I haven't listened to any like Essen preview Also, a lot of this is like German first edition, German this, German that, and I'm like, I can't pronounce the name of that. But hey, I mean, a lot of times, sometimes those are like really good games, and like people play it and like fall in love, and then they come and make a like it'll be get nominated for the Spiel des Jahres. They'll make an English version, and they'll come over and we'll be like, oh man, that game's great. But how are you supposed to know? I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't know.
Cool. So hey guys, I guess we can get into what we've been playing. Have you guys played anything?
Nope.
I played some kid games with my family.
Oh, nice. Anything different or more of like the same sort of stuff?
More of the new, or not more of the new, more of the same. But we've been playing a lot of Unicorn Glitter Luck.
Nice.
Which my youngest daughter, she doesn't know how to play, but she likes to like touch the stuff and to feel the different gems and stuff. So we've been playing that in the match game and a couple of other stuff. So, yeah, outside of that one game day that I had where I played the Village Attacks, I've just been playing like party game or family games. But I'll say this, man, and then we've said in the past, Haba's the company, bro.
Yeah, for sure.
Like, just awesome quality stuff every time. Good guys. I really appreciate them.
That's awesome.
So how about you?
I got a chance to mess around with the new scenario for Mansions of Madness. So Mansions of Madness 2nd edition is the app game of Mansions of Madness, but it has where there are some scenarios that are like DLC scenarios. So you actually pay money in the app to be able to buy it. And there's a brand, it's not super new. I think it maybe came out like maybe a month ago or something like that. But there's a newer expansion to the game, and I decided, hey, might as well try to mess around and play with that. I didn't finish the entire scenario, but we got playing through it and like starting and doing a bunch of different stuff. I actually still have it set up, trying to finish playing through it with my kids. But yeah, definitely super interesting. The interesting twist on this one is it's not really a spoiler because kind of like they said about it in the description, is that the investigators start the game split up. So some investigators will be at
I love that idea,
one area on the map, and other investigators will be on another area on the map, and you kind of find out like very quickly that there's like this is like a duality world or something like that, or like maybe somebody's trapped in the upside down almost is what it seems like. But I haven't finished the scenario, so I don't know 100% what's going on, and I don't want to talk too much about it. But I just messing around and playing the game and playing it with my kids, it's just like it just reaffirms like how much I love Mansions of Madness as a cooperative game and just like the stories that it invokes. And I'm also worried that Mansions of Madness, now Sky's getting a little bit older, he seems like he's more scared of the game. Like he got a condition card and it had a creepy picture on it, and he's like, no! And I'm like, it's fine. So don't look at the picture. You just can't use clue tokens next turn. He's like, no! I'm like, dude, last time we played, you were like fighting off ghosts and battling all these crazy
other
ones.
But he didn't know then, Dad.
I guess so.
I think that's
so it was funny. He didn't want to see the card, so I put the card away and just told him the effects of it. But then my daughter was crying because she wanted to see the card, and I said, no, we can't look at the card because it makes your brother sad. And my daughter's like, but I really want to see the card, Dad. And my son is like, my son's like, if you bring the card back out, I'm going to cry. And my daughter's like, if you don't bring the card back out, I'm going to cry. And I'm just like, I can't win.
So who do you love more? Which one did you choose?
I just left it south to the side because it didn't. She got over it.
So you love Scotty more than Violet.
She'll get over it. It's fine. I just take her off to the side. Hey, look at this card. No, I'm just kidding.
I like that Violet is a small monster, basically. Like Scotty's just like.
We went to like, Carowinds the other day, and my son was scared to ride most of the rides. Like he would ride a few of them, but like a lot of them he's like, I'm not very comfortable trying to get on that. And my daughter wanted to ride all of them. She wanted to ride everything, but she was too short to ride most everything. So
I'm with Scotty. I can't do heights, man.
Yeah. He was just like, I don't want to do anything that goes upside down or do anything that goes up too high.
Yeah, I don't do that stuff.
Yeah. I was like, hey, man, you get on it. It'll be fun. Being scared is part of the fun.
Nope.
You're supposed to be scared. That's the point.
Nope. You're supposed to enjoy it, not be scared. You're supposed to enjoy yourself.
Overcome your fears.
Nope. You know how I overcome my fears? I pay my bills on a monthly basis. That's how I overcome my fears. Because I pay my mortgage.
Oh yeah. That's terrifying right there.
Well, that and everything else that costs money nowadays because life is so cheap.
It's only getting cheaper by the minute.
Right?
Sarcasm.
That's what I do.
But yeah, if there's anybody out there that hasn't tried Mansions of Madness, I posted like a picture of it, and everybody's like, "Oh my goodness, I love Mansions of Madness!" And some people are like, "I got into this game because of you guys," which is really cool. Seeing that like it's Rob's favorite
such
game,
a great game,
and it's like mine. I'm still so sad. Like Matt's only. How many times have you played it, Matt? Like once, twice? Like
once.
me and Rob talk about how much we love this game constantly, but we've played like a lot of the scenarios. I know I played a lot of scenarios. I know Rob's played several of the scenarios. You played a decent amount, right?
Oh, I've played several, but I've also played not nearly as many as you. But because I introduced it to new people all the time, I play the first scenario a lot.
I've played the first scenario a ridiculous amount of times.
Yeah,
that's a crazy thing. I love that. Honestly, Fantasy Flight, if you're listening, which we know you are, I want more scenarios that are as short of a time frame as that first scenario, because the first scenario is like 90 minutes. And, like, all the rest of them are a little bit longer than that, you know? Like, it's like 30 to 90 minutes for that first scenario, which is extremely short.
We need more like that.
And, I mean, I know, like, everybody loves the bigger, longer ones, but we have a lot of those now. It'd be really cool to see some more. I mean, those have to be easier to design, right? Like, maybe they think, hey, people are paying money for this. They don't want something that's super short. But just, like, throw another maybe there will be. But it'd be really cool if there was some more short ones in the next one, so it's like, there's more options for teaching people the first time, you know?
Yeah.
Because you don't want to teach somebody like a 3-hour game the first time or a 2-hour game the first time, necessarily when they haven't played before. But, yeah, Mansions of Madness is always fun. We should play more. Awesome.
When Cabin Con actually happens, you all are going to get to the cabin, step out of the vehicle, and smell nothing but the strings of garlic that Rob has decorated with. Bro, I am not worried about the cabin.
The vampires?
The vampires or anything like that. There will be no summoning of demons or anything like that. So, yeah, it's all going to be fine. I'm pretty confident in my faith. I feel pretty good. I think if you guys remember our Halloween story that we did a while back, like our scary episode.
You were scared of the air conditioner?
Well, that, but I told you guys about the haunted houses and stuff that I've done, right?
Yeah.
I've had clients ask me to do exorcisms on their house before. I'm
not
worried.
Did you use garlic for that?
No. My biggest fear is Matt and Adam trying to do something and one of them falling over and getting hurt while they're laughing so hard because it's not going the way that they expect it to go.
Oh boy, sounds good.
But hey, if we have a small group on Friday night, we should play Mansions of Madness up there. Like if you want to come up and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Because that works.
Random question.
Yeah.
What's the food situation like where that's gonna be? Is it like bring all the
food?
Well, I'm gonna bring up food, and I'm gonna also bring up food for like people to munch on and snacks. But if you wanted to bring your pizza maker or something, I would not stop.
That's what I was thinking about, because I was like, if it's somewhere like around 10 or less, that's very doable.
I did not invite 10 people. If 10 people show up, it's
because you're talking about it on the podcast.
Perfect.
I mean, we can talk about it, but they don't know where it is. But yeah,
come to the woods in the state of North Carolina. I'm sure you'll find us.
You'll find us eventually.
North Carolina's not that big of a state.
It's not small.
I know. I'm saying compared to other states.
I go up one hill. You ask me right now in my life right now to go up one hill, and I'm like, nah, forget it. They're fine. They didn't invite me. I'm good.
But you just said Matt's Pizzas, and that's going to make everybody be like, oh, my goodness, I got to get there.
Ooh, boy. I like to mix it. Bring your own cheese. Solid.
But yeah, like, I don't know. Like,
bring your own toppings pizzas.
Like, our crew, I don't know if you talk to AJ and Hector and Ryan and them, you know, and if they just want to come up Saturday too, we can do that. But
I've mentioned They're very.
What I'm trying to do for the people in chat is a game day thing, and if it can work well for this, and I've talked to Roy about this, we need to do like an Epic Con type of a thing, and you got to start off small, and so we're trying this cabin thing out to see, okay, can we all, I know we can get along. It's just an excuse to get together, but like, let's see if we can make it work.
We can all get out of our own houses to go to a thing. That's the
main
thing.
I'm set. I've already put it in. I've already made the reservations with the boss, everything like that.
Adam's even bringing ham on the plane.
I'm so excited.
Nice.
Man, if we have a con, let's do it at the exact geographic center of the continental United States.
I mean, we could. That'd be epic.
I just like everybody's like, where's that? Kansas? It's Kansas.
But hey, man, if you wanted to bring your pizza maker thing, bro.
I've really wanted to like make pizzas recently, but like I haven't had.
Oh, and
you're gonna wait all the way till December?
Oh, Adam can't eat it either.
Oh man.
Oh.
We can make him something.
If you like put like lettuce down and then melted cheese on top of the lettuce, maybe.
I'll work something out.
We'll do something. Adam, you will be. You know what? You'll be fine. I mean, I don't know. You know your heart. I was gonna make like a heart attack joke, but still, I shun it. But listen, hey, bro, if I eat the pizza and survive, you should be fine. You should be good to go. Anyway, good times.
Yeah, man.
So as far as games we've been playing, I also played Splattershot, which is like an interesting game I got from Gen Con a couple years back. It is literally a game where it's supposed to be like a first-person shooter, but it's like a game where you can use whatever miniatures you want. But my kids wanted to play because they could play with their own toys. Me and Sky have played with it before. And so they played with their little pick-me-pop stuffed animals, and my daughter played with a Skylander. And I played with like a little Naruto figure and then a rock golem, like D&D rock golem. And we battled it out with flamethrowers and katanas and Uzis. And there's a bunch of different stuff you can add to the game so that like you can pick up items that give you little powers and bonuses and stuff like that. But we just played like on the carpet, and I put like random board game boxes and like a pack of like sodas in the floor, so we'd run around those and stuff. We just played around with the little characters. We didn't follow the rules 100% because, playing with toddlers. But it was still fun. My son was like, I want to play the game where you can like attack each other with toys. And I'm like, okay, we can play this. But he wasn't happy when his sister killed all of his characters. But other than that, it was great. But, it's all good. Do you ever have any issues with your kids with sportsmanship at all, Rob, or they're just perfect angels?
For like 2 seconds. I've got a 1-year-old and a 5-year-old. She's about to be 6 in a couple of weeks, so it's like they're like my 1-year-old. She did the cutest thing this morning. So my wife and I were having a meeting, and this is what she does with my daughter. But my wife and I were having a meeting to go over the some office regulation stuff and some other stuff. And so we have our notes out, and we have our pens, and we're taking notes, and we're writing stuff down, and we're going over section by section. And my daughter's just like flipping the lid. She's like, "No, like pay attention to me," because we work from our house type of a thing. And then we were like, "Fine," like so we gave her like a sheet of paper and a pen. And then she sat down beside us like, okay, like we can have the meeting. And so like she's sitting on the ground and she's writing, scribbling. And then she like hand me the pen and hand my wife the piece of paper for like us to approve. And we were like, okay. And then we hand them back to her and she's like, okay. And then she'd switch it. Like then she'd give me the paper. So like that's what we deal with when we're playing games. Like if I give my daughter a couple dice, she's like, okay, as long as I'm involved.
Yeah.
Type of a thing. But we don't have the sportsmanship. The sportsmanship is more with my daughter, with us, because she's like, why do you guys like beat me all the time? And I'm like, look, if I let you win, you're going to get this false hope that you're good, and you're not. So you know, when you do win, you know it's special because you earned that win.
I was about to say that's not the same approach I take. My son's like, I lost. And I'm like, listen, losing, you learn way more than you ever learn winning. So you have to try and be good, and it's about playing the game.
Oh no, see,
so now tell your sister good game. It's like, I don't want to. No, tell your sister good game. GG. You gotta say GG. But
gotta make them line up and shake hands.
Exactly. Right. Sportsmanship.
As they walk across the room.
Yeah.
You can glare at each other, but just remember. And do better next time. Don't disgrace the family with your losses. No, I'm just kidding. I never say that.
Man.
Never
said that. Got deep for a second.
But yeah, we have fun. It's cool. And it still, once again, lasts like 2 seconds. Like, okay, you lost the game. Can we play again? Yes, we can play again. It doesn't matter. Yep. Like, let's just play again.
Yep, good times.
Yeah.
Sweet, man. Cool. So, Matt, what about you and your kids?
I
love you. I'm sorry.
Right, I'm alone.
Have you gotten to do anything exciting, though? Or even, like, video gaming or watching stuff?
Video gaming, I'm very excited for the end of this month.
I've realized that I'm getting old because the other day I went out to mow the grass and then one of the tires sort of like came unhinged from the wheel well. So I was like, well, let me park it and see if I can fix it. And then tried for a minute and then got frustrated, went inside. I was like, I'll just Google it. And then sat down and then stood up and then my back was just gone. It was just like, oh, okay, I cannot bend out of this L shape now. Perfect. So yeah, I think I'm dying.
Oh no!
So
you
what
shouldn't have tried to pick up the lawnmower by yourself.
Well, I mean,
did you try to pick up the lawnmower by yourself?
It's one of those like ride-ons that has a deck. So the deck part of it only weighs like 50 pounds. The back end of the lawnmower is where all the weight is. So
you're with your knees, Matt. With your knees.
Yeah, I'm still learning that lesson.
I've done that before too.
Bro, did you see what Adam wrote? Made him clean it up. That's awesome.
Nice.
I mean, it's terrible. No, you shouldn't do that. That's so mean.
Isn't that what kids are for? Free labor?
I mean, that's not the only reason why I had a kid, but it's like a big,
I was gonna say, I hope that that's not like the only reason. I feel like there should be a bit more that goes into it. But
no, I mean, it wasn't the only reason. But I'd tell you this: as they get older, I get more excited because I'm like, you have no idea, little person.
I never have to do the dishes again.
Oh, you think it's really?
I still wouldn't call it free labor. They're pretty expensive.
Yeah,
that is fair.
They are getting food. They better work for it.
Oh man, good times. I just love how the youngest person on our show is talking about how old they are.
I know, that's one of the things I was thinking about.
Well, it's like, okay, so I read something.
What are you, like, 27?
28. Hey, man.
Okay.
I read something the other day that, like, somebody was just like, man, after you hit, like, 25, you feel like you're just dying, like, a lot faster. And then somebody was like, well, I mean, statistically, that's true because the time when your cells start to replicate slower than they die off is around 25. So, that's at the point where everything starts to plateau and then kind of go back down. And I was like, hey, I feel that.
Thanks, biology.
Yep.
Woo!
Also, your brain isn't fully developed until you hit 25, so there's that.
I would argue that even for some, it's not even at that point.
Well, it might not be hope. If it's fully developed and that's just where they're at, oh well. They didn't have any more time to grow. They needed more time to grow. No, I'm just kidding.
Boom.
Good times. Awesome. Well, I guess we can get into our topic and stuff and things. Today we're going to be talking about innovation in gaming.
Yes.
So what games would you guys say are some like innovative board games?
Who wants to go first?
Time Stories? Yeah, for sure.
Yes, that's a good one.
Yeah, I love the changes that they made in like a game like Time Stories.
Yes.
It's pretty crazy. I mean, obviously legacy games are innovative. Risk Legacy like is crazy, and there's been a bunch of other games that have spawned off this whole innovative concept of like, I mean, there's been scenario-based games forever, but the fact of how things directly...
No, Risk was the first one, man.
I mean, I understand, like, but I mean, there was scenario-based games where things would slightly carry on, but it's not the same as Legacy, where things are so radical and so permanent, you know?
Well, and also the decisions you make in one game will affect another game, and then, like, if everybody does X amount of things, you get to open up a new component to the box to add more to the game. Like, there was... As far as I know, there was nothing like that before Risk Legacy, where the game kept growing and the consequences. I mean, Risk Legacy is one of the first ones that I got down. That's just, man, that blew my mind. Blew my mind.
Yeah. It's crazy because everybody was talking about how they thought there was just going to be an insane explosion of Legacy games, and we've seen a few of them, but they're just like, apparently they're pretty difficult to like make well, you know? So, I mean, I remember us talking about several Legacy games on the podcast that I think they just kind of like up and disappeared. There was like one Civilization one or whatever that we kept talking about.
Yeah, and Origins one. Matt and I even went to the booth at Gen Con. Was like,
I was going to ask about that earlier when we were talking about like stuff for Essen. I was going to be like, yo, has anybody heard anything about this game? And then a little bit later,
decided maybe it was too ambitious of an idea. I don't know. I haven't heard anything about it since like those years ago when we were talking about it. So that's crazy.
Yeah, Matt and I met with the guy who was supposed to be working with Rob Davio. And what was it like? It was going to start in the Stone Age, Matt, or something like that, or like the dawn of time. Right?
He gave some like weird ARG sort of answer. I was just like, yeah, man. So like, what can we expect? Can we see anything? What's happening? And he's just like, hey, man, the tribe chieftain appreciates your interest. And I'm like, what is that?
Like, did you just talk to an NPC in a RPG? You asked him a question that he wasn't prepared to answer.
Right, it's like that part in Avatar where it's just like, oh, the Earth King invites you to Lake Laogai, and you're like, I'm sorry, what was that? I wasn't even talking about that.
I used to be an adventurer like you until I took an arrow to the knee.
Right, you're just like, alrighty then. So I don't know. I would love to know literally anything about that game because it seemed super cool.
Yeah, I remember hearing stuff about it, but who knows? Good times. But yeah, I feel like
Mizo. Yeah, I've heard about Mizo. Sorry. What was it? Are we still going over other games? I have other games.
Innovative games.
Here's what I thought was innovative to me, and that I really liked for a social deduction game. I liked how in Crossfire and that scenario we played, where you got to pass the cards, so you got to see what the other characters were. Like, I can't think of another social deduction game where it was like you purposefully pass the cards. Like, I know in Werewolf, if you're the seer, you get to look and do other stuff. But I thought that was a lot of fun. I thought that was a cool little
that was
new
that
something.
Was one of the things that Emerson always like said to us. It's like a social deduction game that you don't just have to rely on the social aspect of trying to figure things out.
So much more than bluffing.
You have information. You just have to figure out how you're going to share that information, you know?
Yeah.
And that's the whole puzzle, is trying to work that information out. Because you only have 3 minutes to do it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's cool. It's interesting to see, like, these tried and true genres of games have, like, little bits of innovation and how people change those up. It's kind of interesting.
I'll say this for me. It may not be for you guys, and there may be other games before it. But Junk Art,
yeah,
to me was an innovative game because not only did it have like the cubes and the different building blocks, but the 12 games in one.
Yeah.
Like I really like that. Like I know there's Rhino Hero, and I'm not saying Rhino Hero nonchalantly, like it doesn't matter because it does. But like I didn't play like a lot of stacking games before then.
Yeah.
And then when Junk Art came out, I just remember like, this is awesome. And we're playing these scenarios.
Like dexterity games is like one of the main like genres of games that would be easy to innovate in, you know? Just because like it's so interesting and so tactile the way that you interact with those games. It seems like there'd be a lot of avenues for specific innovation in how
Well, I
you
also
can make
put
a
Flick 'em
dexterity
Up on my
game.
list for the same reason. Like, I know there's that car game that Tom Vassell and them like to play, but I just thought Flick 'em Up, where you're shooting at each other, but you're trying to do your like little stuff. I thought that was a lot of fun, and a cool, innovative game.
I thought that Captain Sonar was super innovative. Like the whole team aspect and the back and forth of like all the different, like every single like station is slightly different, but you're working as a team. But it's this whole like hidden movement game, but you're both hidden movement, but you all have different stations, and it's just crazy. Like that entire game is like extremely innovative because like each station is weird and different, you know. But yeah. Do you have any more you can think of, Matt?
No, but Adam mentioned in chat that One Night Ultimate Werewolf with the app was something that at the time didn't have any real competitors. So now you see games that were social deduction games that had a moderator starting to migrate away from that and move into more freeform things where everybody's sort of doing stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think it would be interesting to see if they would have made a Mansions Madness 2nd edition if they didn't come up with like, oh, hey, the app for Descent worked. We should literally slap this on everything.
Yeah.
I think Mansions of Madness app is so much more than the Descent and the Imperial Assault app. Just because the puzzles it adds into the game and the story seems so much richer than those other games. I mean, the other games are interesting, but I think it's the lack of puzzles and the lack of like trying to solve things that changes it up for me. Because every time I've played Descent cooperative game, it feels more like, oh, just do this thing and fight that bad guy. Where in Mansions, you start in a scenario and you don't really know what you're supposed to do. And I don't know, I love that. I love that like you start and you just have no real clue what the objective is. And then you have to explore and find out and try to solve and put the clues together of what's actually happening. Like you kind of would in like this whole investigator horror game scenario. I don't know. I think that is innovative in itself. The fact of Mansions, when it first came out, like regular Mansions, I thought was innovative with all the little mini games for the puzzles. Because, I mean, back then you used to have these tiles that would be like little sliding puzzles or like different like wires you'd have to connect. And now with 2nd edition, they've offloaded that all into like these little app games that are kind of like app puzzle games, which are kind of cool. But it was kind of interesting back in the day. Even just the cardboard versions of those were pretty cool. And one of the reasons that I really enjoyed the game as well. I don't know if that was a big driver for you like in the game or not, Rob. The whole puzzle aspect of it.
No, I could care less about the puzzles.
Really?
Yeah, I mean they're cool and stuff like that. What I liked about the app was the organization that it brought in.
Yeah.
And
I
like
have to have like a million decks for all that stuff, you know.
Yeah. Like I like all that, and how I also like the app where it made it everybody being on the same team. Where it's no longer, a mansion keeper versus everybody else. Even though there is a game coming out that I want to play, which is called Alone, and it's one person as the hero, and everybody else are the bad guys. So it's one versus many, but in the opposite. Everybody else is the like mansion keepers, and there's only one guy, and you have to try to kill him.
Nice.
Yeah, that should be coming out soon. I know Sam talked about it, like on one of either Sam or Tom talked about it on their top 10 anticipated Essen games. But I was going to say what Ashley stole from me, even though Ashley's allowed to do that. She's amazing. I was going to say Dead of Winter and the Crossroads cards and stuff like that. That was like that was a pretty big deal when that came out, and it still is a big deal.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
I don't know. Well, the game is moving towards more of a medium for, I don't know, integrated sort of storytelling, where it's like it's moving more towards a D&D feel almost, where you're sort of sitting down and having a collaborative storytelling moment with people. It's just not an 8-hour day where you're trying to be like, oh my god, that was so cool, we murdered a guy.
Yeah. See, I would say Tales of the Arabian Nights is more of a D&D feel, just because you do make a story.
Yeah.
Which, man, we should bring that to the cabin.
I love Tales of the Arabian Nights.
That's just a fun game.
Man, back in the day, they were gonna make like a fantasy version of Tales of the Arabian Nights. So it was going to be like a Camelot themed version.
Let me ask you guys this: is there a game the same size as Tales of the Arabian Nights that weighs nearly as much as Tales of the Arabian Nights?
Oh, you mean
like Gloomhaven in those games way more, but they're a lot bigger boxes.
It's just that book, man. That book is like gigantic.
Bro, it's a heavy box.
It's a textbook.
Whew.
Darth was asking me if I like games that start with no clear goals. How do I feel about Flux and Freedom and Feast and stuff? I would say Flux has a goal. You just don't know which one it is. It's always get 2 keepers and you win the game if you match the current goal that's out. And honestly, I played Flux a ton back when it like first came out, back when I used to play Redemption, and like there literally were not lots of board games. I mean, there were some good ones like Catan and things like that, but there weren't the same amount of board games that there are now. And some of the really good ones I didn't necessarily know about. But I played Flux, and Flux is fine when it lasts 15 minutes. When Flux lasts an hour and a half, I just want to never touch those cards again, which it happens way too often. It just gets to the point where I want anybody to win the game. But I played a bunch of the Freedom of Freeze's Fast Forward series. I played like a bunch of rounds of it at one of the previous recons, and it was interesting. Have you heard of those games, the Fast Forward series? It's basically like you get these decks of cards, and there's all sorts of different ones. They're all put out by it's by the Freedom Freeze guys, but also Strongholds brought them to America. But they're like these decks of cards that have different rule sets, and as you play the game, you'll progress through and gain more cards, and it'll change the rule sets. And it'll be like lots of different things, like you're trying to gain cards and not. I don't remember exactly the one that I played, but it was like you're trying to gain these cards, but not like bust over a certain number or something like that. But it was interesting. It's just very light numbers. I think it's more about trying to uncover a story than just have a hidden goal, you know. But yeah.
Speaking of hidden goal, Betrayal makes a point about, not Betrayal. Halo makes a point about Betrayal being one of those innovative games where you were all on the same team, and then boom, all of a sudden there was a traitor type of a thing.
Yeah.
And I can't think of another game before Betrayal, because I think Battlestar Galactica came after that. Now I like Battlestar Galactica better, but Betrayal.
And I still feel like they feel very different in the way they approach that too. So.
But the concept of we're on the same team, and then now one of us could be a traitor.
Yeah.
Like the thing.
I still don't think anybody's done it the same way that Betrayal does. I mean, they've got the new version of Betrayal with D&D in it, and they're coming out. I almost forgot about it, but they're coming out with Betrayal Legacy.
Yeah. I'm super hyped for that.
Which is that should be on a highly anticipated list, because isn't it supposed to be coming out like soon? Like, it wasn't supposed to be coming out before Halloween? Shouldn't it be out like now? What's up with that? Where's Betrayal Legacy? Is it not out yet? Did they miss the boat?
I think it's
so many people have missed the boat. I think they're on the same boat as the Lords of Hollis boat.
They're not on a boat.
Hey, Dominion. Ambi put down Dominion, and the more I think about it,
I was gonna say that one in a future question we had, but yeah.
Oh, okay.
Dominion was definitely super innovative, like insanely innovative at its time for sure. So how do you guys feel about innovation in gaming?
If it's done well, I like it.
Mm-hmm.
Not Roots. Sorry. Roots not innovative. Roots dumb. No, I like innovation in games. I think you have to, right? Like, unless you're going to be the pretty new shiny toy, like unless you're going to try to compete with like a Fantasy Flight or a CMON, where you're going to be just like so over the top aesthetically pleasing, you've got to be a little innovative to set you apart. Because, like, what did somebody say? 1,000 games are being debuted at Essen.
Mm-hmm.
How do you compete with that in one weekend? 1,000 games.
That's crazy.
Right? Like, you've got to make sure that it yours sets apart.
I definitely feel like as people get games in their collection, a lot of times they're not necessarily looking for like the exact. I mean, most of the time they're not looking for the exact same thing they already have. So when a game's innovative and like changes things up, it can make people want to like get that game and check it out, because it's like, oh, this is something new that I haven't played before, or something I haven't tried before. It's got this interesting, unique mechanic, or this interesting, unique aspect about it, which warrants a space in my collection, or warrants a space in the games that like I want to play, you know, because I haven't played that before. It's not the same thing as something I've already played, you know. Betrayal Legacy is November 2018. So close.
Yeah.
So close.
A lot of stuff coming out.
Obviously. Not obviously.
Obviously.
That's South Carolina education for you guys. What were you saying, Matt?
There's a lot of stuff coming out in November.
Yeah. I feel like people are trying to slam it during that Black Friday, Christmas buying months.
That's why we're not doing the cabin in November.
I about to say, I wonder what game's on the top of my list for like wanting to get in that November season when everything's coming out. I don't know.
I'm just ready for. You know what? I'm excited to come in, and I hope we get a chance to play it at the cabin. Monster Slaughter.
Oh yeah.
Do you guys remember that on Kickstarter? Do you remember that, Matt?
Not at all.
I remember you talking about it.
Monster Slaughter is a game where...
Is that the box one?
You are a family of monsters, whether it's vampires or mummies or like Frankensteins or ghosts or goblins or whatever, and you are trying to eat college campers to get points and get energy. And you may have to fight off a policeman or whatever. But speaking of innovation, the game uses the box like Ice Cool. And so the board is actually the box, and the box inserts come out, and they make up the different rooms.
Yeah.
And they have like doors that open up, and so your monsters can go into the different rooms and try to find the people and eat them. And so that should be out before the cabin day. I'm excited for that to come. And I like Ice Cool, and like the exit games and stuff like that, where it's using the whole components, like it's using the box as well. Like, I think that's really, really cool, because we get all these games all the time, and the box is a lot of wasted space, where in stuff like this, like, it's actually a part of the game. I just think that's a lot of fun.
That's awesome.
So, we'll play it.
What would
you look for innovation in games, Roy? I don't think you ever answered the question.
Oh. I mean, I talked a little bit about stuff, but... I think, I like seeing things that, especially if it's done well. I mean, I still want it to be like something that I like, I don't know, but I definitely am always interested in trying something that has like new, interesting aspects to it, or something that's different than things I already have. Because I mean, I have so many area control games, and I mean, I love that sort of thing. But it's like, okay, what's this game do different, or got this other thing? What's it do different than something I already have? Especially as people's collections grow. It's like, okay, let me try something that I don't already have and want to play more of, you know? If it's something that's new, it's like, oh, man, let me actually try that out.
Yeah.
What do you think are some ways that board games can be innovative?
Well, I'll say like Monster Slaughter, using the entire box, using all the components. Mm-hmm. Man, Donnie, that is a good one. Ashes was amazingly, to me, innovative because of the dice. Sorry about that. No, but like using all the components like Monster Slaughter and Ice Cool, getting the box involved, making it where like I feel like my whole purchase is complete. You know, I like that idea. I really do. I think that was the main reason why I also backed Monster Slaughter, was the box. Like, you know, I don't know if you guys can go on Kickstarter and look at it a little bit, but it looked really cool. I liked how they were doing that. So
yeah. What about you, Matt? What do you think are some ways that board games can be innovative?
I don't know. I feel like that's almost in and itself a slightly difficult question to answer, because it's effectively asking me to innovate
on the fly
to answer the question. Right. But I don't know. I feel like there's a lot of good games and good game developers that basically take, like we were talking about earlier, the idea that is sort of key and apparent in a lot of traditional games, and then flip it or skew it to make it have a new spin or a new twist. Mm-hmm. That's always good and fun. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, if you want to make your game more innovative, don't necessarily try to borrow mechanics, but try to think of new ways to approach something. I mean, I really like thematic games, but you can make thematic innovations in games by just being like, okay, this is the theme of the game. This is like a cool thing that like you could do in that theme. How can I make that work mechanically in the game? You know, just be like, okay, well, I want this game to kind of be like this with this sort of thing. What's interesting tricks or interesting ways you can manipulate different things to make that happen? So there's all sorts of different stuff. Was Rob showing like his receipt for dry cleaning or something? I don't
know.
His list of answers to questions.
But yeah.
I don't know. Like, you know, that game that me and Rob tried to make that never went anywhere, where you're basically it's hidden movement, but the opposite.
Yeah.
So the person who's trying to do all the killing is invisible.
I thought about that the other day. Like, it hit me. I was like, man, I should go back and like try to rework it as
fresh
like,
eyes.
You know, like, yeah, give it some time, but go back to the original theming of like a Friday the 13th rather than the sci-fi thing I turned it into. Like, just go back to that.
Yeah.
I feel like I did a similar thing. So, like, I built that entire sumo wrestling game out and then gave almost all of the 80-some cards that I had in it, like, stats. Not that there's any like math or reason to it. And then I was like, let me just look and see what I'd had. And I was just reading through it, and I was just like, boy, I am not in the right mindset for that.
Yeah. I feel like game design, at least, I mean, as a non-actual like real game designer, for me, it's like I have to be inspired, and it's like, do all the things while you're inspired to do it.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like it's one of those things that's like I have something inside of me that wants to get out, and then once I put it down, I'm like, perfect. I don't need to look at this ever again. I've accomplished everything that I've wanted.
I feel you, Matt.
Out of it.
I feel you, Matt.
Because it bugs me until it's down, and then once it's down, I can forget about it.
I feel you.
I don't know.
I feel you, even though I'm pushing it further.
Well, like, you do have to be in the mood to be able to get into that mindset, right? Of being your worst critic and your biggest fan and trying to make something halfway decent that the masses will enjoy, right? Because if you're doing it, you know, like, you want to be at least a little profitable, you know, so... Matt, if it was easy, everybody would be doing it, sir. Don't beat yourself up.
I mean, that's a
yeah, and if you want to be innovative, probably try to take inspiration from outside of board gaming. Just like even in just day-to-day life things. Just like, hey, you want to make something innovative? Just try to think outside the box, literally. Think outside of normal boxes. Think of something crazy or something different that you've seen, and maybe you can tweak something to work as an actual mechanic, you know?
I mean, we're overthinking it. I mean, look at Codenames.
Yeah.
Codenames is literally Telephone, the board game.
Yeah, it's
that simple. And they sold enough copies to go to the moon now, I think, or something like that.
Pretty much.
Have you guys seen the game Dude?
I've seen it. I don't know exactly how it plays.
Yes.
I know Ambi's mentioned it in chat, and everything I've looked at it, it's basically very similar to Happy Salmon, except for you're just saying dude in different ways with different sort of inflections, and you're trying to find somebody who matches you. So I'm just like, it's so ludicrous to imagine that there's just a table full of people going, dude, 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 dude. And then you just go to the next card, and it's just like, can you just imagine having
how do you know when you actually match?
And then your wife just invites somebody over, and she's like, anyway, here's the kitchen. And I'm like, what's that? And you just like open a door, and there's this like 5 grown men like, dude, and it's just an empty table. She's just like, anyway, this is
I want to play that.
I don't
Dude.
I don't know if that's exactly how it plays, but it does look
Is it for sale?
Very similar. Yeah,
oh yeah, it's been out.
Like
I think there's like an expansion for it already or something like that.
Yeah, there's
Doodle or something.
If would that be something you'd play at the cabin?
Probably, yeah. I've been randomly itching to play like Happy Salmon or something similar to Happy Salmon. So if it plays anything close to it, I'm sure I'll be happy.
All right.
Because it's just, I don't know, it's stupid. But, it's a good type of stupid.
Hey, stupid is fun, though, sometimes. When you've had, like, a crazy day and you don't want to think about anything and you just want to sit down and be like, dude, Because I've actually had almost whole conversations using less than 5 words. I don't know if you guys have ever done that, but I've talked to some of my friends before, and it changed from dude to bro. Like, dude. I know, bro, dude. Yeah. Oh man. Okay. We may have to take that. I may have to pick that up.
So Matt, when you're buying games, do you seek out games that are different and innovative? Or you're just like, this looks cool. That's the reason I want it.
Yeah, this looks cool. Now, it's not always just like, oh man, the artwork on this seems really cool. Sometimes, it is something about it catches my eye as being different or unique in a way that makes me want to get it.
Yeah.
But most of the time, it's just like, I'm like, this looks neat. Like Kingdom Death. I bought it not because I'm super in love with the theme, although I don't mind it. I do like a lot of the sort of macabre artwork. Some of it is a bit over the top, but that's the anime boys looking at anime things. What you gonna do? But
are you saying that there are Kingdom Death waifus? Is that what you're saying?
Oh, absolutely. 100%. Something
if you
that
see Kingdom Death miniatures as people's profile pictures, that's when you know.
Ooh. I mean, that's a whole new level of board gamer. Like when you have painted Kingdom Death minis, you're like icon. That's something else. But like, man, I don't. I told AJ about it because there are certain like packs that are just like pin-up versions of different characters.
Yeah. There was a lot of controversy when that first came out too.
Scandalous and stuff. And then I told AJ about
Matt's
that.
Matt's like, I backed every one of them. No, I'm just kidding.
I just wanted the big monsters, but AJ's like, are you telling me I can play a waifu? And I was just like, I mean, yeah. And he's like, that's all I'm doing.
Only if you bring your body pillow over at the same time.
He's just like, I'm just trying to play the scantiliest clad girl or guy, and I'm just going to punch things. And I'm like, that's, I mean, that sounds like AJ in a nutshell, but
Nice. Strangely, the same way my wife likes to play games.
Bro, dude.
I have a random question that's a bit off topic, but sort of on topic. So I just seen that Fantasy Flight is doing this game called Discover.
Yes. I'm pretty sure that's my highest on my want list right now.
Really? Okay.
Is that the Corey Kineskin game?
The unique board game.
Yeah, so that's what I wanted to ask you about, because it's like Fantasy Flight seems like they're trying to push the trend of unique games now. So do you consider that part of an innovation, or is it them trying to find what the next...
I mean, it has to be an innovation, right? Like, it's definitely very innovative to have computer algorithms put board games together.
That's true.
So it's definitely innovative, and hopefully it works well with all the games that they're doing. I actually really enjoyed my couple Keyforge decks that I've played that uses a computer algorithm to make it. It'll definitely be interesting to see an entire board game where it's like my experience with the game is not necessarily the same experience you're going to have with the game, because you have literally different components in your game, It's like you have different event cards, you have different terrain types, you have different characters in your game than I have in my game. That's just interesting, So the question is, how did they test all that?
I'm very curious to see how it works out. Because I feel the point you bring up is, how do you test for all of this stuff? So it either is pulling from a pool of limited options to come up with a set of parameters to make the game fit.
And they just have the core rules so tight that they can have algorithms create.
Incredibly impressive.
Right. They have to have the core rules so tight and so good that they can have algorithms create the abilities around that, you know?
Yeah.
So, I mean, maybe it's just like they just have different difficulties on things and have things set to where certain things happen at certain points. I don't know. But I'm definitely excited to see, because it's like an interesting survival game that, like, the premise of the game itself reminds me of Seventh Continent. You know, it's like a survival game. I'm sure the mechanics are going to be very different, but like the type of game it is, it's supposed to be like, oh, you're all trying to survive. Cooperative. It's supposed to be like cooperative / semi-cooperative, so I'm kind of confused how that works overall, but it's definitely going to be interesting. And it's Cory Konieczka, so I mean, I got to try it. So.
Yeah, I was curious because it's like, I feel like for me personally, it seems like Fantasy Flight has figured out this sort of algorithm thing, especially with Keyforge, is that what it's called, the card game?
And that's not even, it's not even out yet. Keyforge isn't even out yet. So.
And so it's just like, hey, you guys, look, we've got this new thing. It's cool. And it sort of seems like it's, to me, starting to become almost like an industry buzzword where like Legacy is. So
I mean, they're hoping that it will be, but I don't know that anybody else is even capable of making that kind of game currently.
Yeah, that's true.
Because I mean, they just have the massive amount of resources to be able to make something like that. Because I don't know, I don't know how do you make that? How do you? I mean, because normally the way you
a team of computer programmers.
I mean, I understand the whole. I know how it works. I just don't understand how you print it and sort it. I guess they print each deck individually. So every single deck in Keyforge is going to be printed individually. It's just interesting the way it is. It's like, do they print out all the components and mix it together? Which obviously that's not how they do it in Keyforge, because the back on every single card is custom to that deck. So like the back on all your cards is just for that deck. I don't know. It's very mind-bending the way that the whole process works, you know?
Yeah.
Because like your deck is the only deck like that, period. And it's another thing they have programmed into the algorithm, that it will never duplicate what it's already made. Just crazy. I say the next step is to, because I mean, with Keyforge, there's a pool of cards, and they're using an algorithm to make decks out of the pools of cards that are all different. I say the next step is program a computer algorithm to make the cards themselves, so not even Fantasy Flight knows what's in the decks. So you get a completely computer-generated deck of computer-generated cards. And then you end up with just craziness. Because, I mean, you could do that. You could do that with an algorithm. I mean, have the algorithm, like, set the parameters of how it creates cards and the costs of what different abilities have what values, and just have it just make, you know?
Yeah, but that's still very hard to do, even from like a machine learning aspect. There's so much that goes into it to try and
I mean, but once it reaches singularity, we can make it make all the board games for us, right?
Yeah, but I mean, that's still like 70-ish years off, so...
In computer years, which is like 3 seconds. No, I'm just kidding.
I don't know. The long shot goal for me is that these games are successful, and Fantasy Flight really has that sort of thing down, so that they can take that and then be like, hey, Asmodee, look at this cool stuff we have, because we're basically the same company now, and then give that over to Plaid Hat so that they can make cool, awesome, randomly generated Crossroads games.
Yeah, yeah.
That'd be stellar. But that's the pipe dream for me. I hope that it kind of works, but I don't know. Anyway, that was the random off-topic topic. So,
do you guys think that innovation can be taken too far?
Sure. Right? Like, okay.
Have you ever been like turned off by innovation in a game? You're just like, why couldn't they have just done this? Like, just make it simple. Like, what's going on?
Not yet.
I think for me, one time when I've thought like, okay, yeah, that's innovative, but that's kind of annoying, is I really, really enjoyed a lot of the mechanics in Forbidden Stars. Like I was like, this game is great. I love the flipping of the tiles and doing all the different stuff. But then you could tell this combat system was like, check out this crazy innovative combat system we have where it's like 3 rounds and you're chucking dice and playing these cards and you're upgrading these cards as you go along in the game. It just took way too long. And the fact that they were trying to innovate so much of this combat system and have it so complex to be like, they wanted to be innovative, but they made it super complex in a way that it like put us off the game just because that part took too long. Like if you could have like a much simpler combat system, that game would still be on my shelf because I would like love it. But it's just they like sometimes those innovations can feel a little bit forced when it comes to stuff like that. It's like, okay, I see what they were going for. I don't know that they succeeded.
Well, it's like that game that I think Darth was talking about earlier, like 504 or whatever, where they tried to make a game that has
those 504
ton of games in it.
I mean, the way that game works is crazy. Have you seen like the rule book for that?
No.
It's literally like there's different parts of it that flip over. Like it has different sections in the rule book. Mm-hmm. And you'll flip over like a top part or like a middle part or a bottom part, and that'll create your basic rules for that game. And so depending on which page you're flipped to on the thing will lay out the rules for that part of the game. And I mean, it was a very Euro-ish game as far as how stuff worked, but it'd be like, okay, this is how you build things, and then this is how scoring works depending on which page you're flipped to. I never actually played the game, but I know it's very much like this weird like flip book rule set. And it's kind of interesting because some games are really interesting and other games were just
pretty hard. It was one of those like it was like a stocking stuffer. Like it was cute and it was hot when it came out,
but it wasn't inexpensive at all. It was a pretty expensive game.
No, it was. That's why I say it flopped. It didn't do for them what they thought. In fact, I think it started in Essen, and then Stronghold bought it and bought the rights to it and tried to bring it over to the United States, and it had some minimal success, but
I think there was like a game or something that people were like, if you play this one version of the game, it's okay. It's
pretty good.
Which is not what you want with that sort of thing, you know. You want to be able to try out all the different ways, but you know,
like even if I was on a deserted island and I could only bring one game with me, I still would not bring that game, which is essentially 504 games.
It's like, you have to make all those versions actually end up fun, which I think is what they dropped the ball on overall. But the innovation part, they definitely got the innovation down.
Yeah.
Boom.
Nice. What genre of game would you like to see more innovation in? Like, what style of game would you like to see them innovate or have something crazy happen in?
Euro. It'd be fun to see that in Euro to make me want to play more Euros. That's my first choice, just because I think it would help draw me more to those style of games. I think a lot of Euro games, you know, are just slapped with a theme, you know, type of a thing. But I mean, of course, I want to also say area control, and, you know, like the Ameritrash and other stuff like that. But I'm liking more and more Euros that are coming out, and it'd be cool for them to do, like, for example, Champions of Midgard. A lot of Euro people don't consider that a Euro. I consider it a Euro, but the dice made it the game, and you don't see a lot of dice placement like that.
Away from like the normal thing you would see.
It was a way to bring area control people, Ameritrash people, and Euro people together.
Yeah.
And so I would love to see more Euro games take a leap, trying to do stuff like that. You know, because I can't just play Ameritrash. Not everybody in the world just likes Ameritrash. So, like, I'm trying to play these other games. I just need these. They're not awesome yet, Ken. A couple of them are really good, but they're not awesome yet.
Have you played Great Western Trail?
No, I want to play Western Legends, bro. Okay. So bad I want to play Western Legends. But I've heard good things about Great. Wasn't that also Stronghold Games?
I want to say yes, but I don't know.
So the brown box.
Yes, it is Stronghold Games.
Thank you.
I heard Steven talk about it enough to have that ingrained in my mind. Thanks, Bonacor.
But like that, I don't know. That game's a Euro that I actually really like, and it's probably like I wouldn't want to go that much heavier than it, but it's like it has so many aspects to it that are different than just cube pushing, because you have draft, like, you know, you have hand management. You're basically building things. You're trying to alter the board state so that you can affect how people move. There's a lot going on that's really interesting for a game that's very Euro.
Honestly, I'd love to see innovations in almost any genre, you know? I mean, just seeing cool different types of games would be awesome. And I mean, there have been like small innovations in different things. Like, oh, cool, like the interesting combat that was in like Rising Sun and whatever that game that Rob can't play is, Cry Havoc. It's like, oh man, this is a cool, innovative combat system that's actually quick to play. It's cool to see little simple stuff like that. But, you know, innovations in storytelling, like time stories, is really cool. It's like, oh man, you can tell this story with this crazy, innovative puzzle solving and working together as a team, and only being able to have certain information with each player, so it forces everybody to be involved because everybody has to talk out what they've seen, you know. It's just cool to see more stuff like that, you know. Yeah. I just want to see more innovations in almost anything. I mean, if I like that genre of game, I want to see new things in that genre of game. So,
boom.
What games do you think were the most innovative, or what games were the most innovative of their time? Like, which games like that when they first came out just like shook gaming or shook tabletop gaming and were like super innovative? I know we already mentioned Dominion earlier. Like, Dominion spawned a ton of games that, I mean, it was very innovative when it first came out. It's like, holy smokes, this whole deck building thing where you're like, these cards are laid out and you're drafting them as you go along, and you have these resources to pay for these different things. And there's a million games that spun off of it that weren't necessarily as innovative as it was, but took what it did the innovation with and created more. I feel like sometimes when people create these innovative games, there's sometimes just like that stepping stone into like where the good game actually is, you know?
Yeah.
Like, this first innovative game might be an interesting proof of concept, and then the next game that comes out using some of that same ideas might be the real winner, you know? And that those games might, the one that's the winner might be different for different people depending on what style of game you like. But what would you guys say? Any other ones?
I have ideas. I just want to hear what Matt's going to say first.
We don't want to steal all the ideas from Matt.
Sorry, what was the question? I got distracted by a Kickstarter.
What?
Which one?
It's called Project L. It's basically like a small Tetris thing in cubes. You build your little Tetris, and then when you get done with that puzzle, you get a new piece, so you can use that to build more puzzles.
Oh, nice.
You just try to build them as fast as possible so you can get the most points at the end of a predetermined set of time. Anywho.
What games do you think were the most innovative of their time?
I mean, I feel like you almost have to say Catan, just because it did something very different from how board gaming at the time was, and then sparked so many people to start getting into the hobby, and it brought people who maybe weren't super keen on it before because they're thinking, oh man, I don't really want to play Sorry or Mousetrap or Chutes and Ladders or whatever. And, comes into this.
Yeah.
It's not like they did anything super crazy, but it's just good.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of people, like, got into, like, the whole Eurogame thing with playing Catan and being like, oh, cool, this game where you're building things up and then gaining points and trying to race your opponents to have the most points and stuff like that. I played a ton of Catan, like, back in the day. I don't know how long it's been since I've played a game of Catan, but back in the day, it's been a long time. A really long time ago, I played massive amounts of Catan, like massive. So it's kind of crazy. For me, one of the hugest ones I want to say as far as tabletop gaming goes is Magic the Gathering. Like just the whole concept of trading card games. There were a million failed trading card games, but Magic the Gathering was huge. And it still is. It's crazy how the first one is still the one that stayed the strongest, you know? It's just crazy how that concept, because it's just a concept of like, hey, what if we have these random packs of cards that people get and they are not sure what they're going to get in it, this whole blind buy thing, which now these days as a board gamer or somebody who doesn't have funds to throw at something like that is like, oh my goodness. But just the concept of the whole thing in general. I mean, they took like ideas from Cosmic Encounter and Wiz War and turned it into this whole trading card game thing and made it just insane. So, and no matter how much crap we give the mana system, it's still sticking around, so, you know.
Yeah, and most other trading card games are trying to innovate off of that same system.
Yeah.
They're not coming up with anything really new. They're just...
And some of the ones that are even more unique that I can think of were also made by the same designer. So it's just like, oh, okay, crazy. Like Netrunner and stuff like that. Oh, yeah, that's Richard Garfield, too. Well, that's very different from Magic. That's crazy. What about you, Rob? You said you had some.
I would say, and it's definitely more new. It's newer than what you guys are talking about. I would say Time Stories. Not so much in the gameplay itself, but in the idea that you buy it once and you can't play it again.
Yeah.
Like after that, then we started to see the exit games and the escape games, and Time Stories still has content still coming out where a lot of times you buy a board game for multiple playthroughs.
Uh-huh.
And this is a game where it's like, sure, you can play through, but you're going to know how to do it. Mm-hmm. I just thought that set a new precedence, and we're starting to see more and more games where it's like, all right, it's really meant for a one playthrough type of a thing. You know, you can play more, but it's really only meant for one playthrough. And then the other one that I have is Risk Legacy. It was the first big Legacy game. It set the standard for Legacy games when it blew up. And I mean, I remember when we did, I'll never forget the 3 nuke option. And we got to open up that secret compartment in the box, which it's not secret because it's covered, like, you know something's there, but it's like you can't open it up till the 3 nukes go off. Like, I remember all of our faces, and we never would have guessed what was going to be in there. And I mean, we would have guessed, but anyway, we were blown away. It was a lot of fun.
I still have a copy of Risk Legacy where we haven't finished the 3 nuke option. We're like right at the edge of it where people had the nukes. We just hadn't done that yet. That's crazy. It started with JJ and Braden, mostly JJ and Braden. Where are you guys at? We never finished Risk Legacy. Let's do this. No, I'm just kidding.
They're not gonna come play that game,
dude. It's been like years. It's been way before the podcast. So good times.
Yeah.
It's still sitting there though.
Hey, well, here's the thing. I'd play it.
I gotta say, that's the crazy thing is like with these Legacy games, like if you start with people and they kind of fall off, then I'll tell you what ruined that game. What ruined our Risk Legacy game is they were coming over to play Risk Legacy, and then the playtesting for Seafall happened, and we joined that and playtested a few games, and we said it was terrible. And I probably shouldn't say that publicly, but then we're like, oh crap. Then we just never ended up playing the rest of our Risk Legacy game. Is that terrible? Seafall ruined Risk Legacy for me.
Seafall ruined a lot for me.
You guys tried twice, didn't you, Matt?
Yeah. It's still sitting in the house.
For the Seafall lovers to come out and be like, there's a few of them out there. They're like, the game's actually good. Okay.
Great. Good for them.
I feel like the game actually is good if you look at it as going, this is a Euro with incredibly light Legacy elements that isn't going to make you feel any sort of theme or story, and it's not going to really impact you as heavily as any of the other Legacy games that have come before it. And if you go into it with that mindset, you're probably going to be like, this is an all-right game.
I feel like that's why Pandemic Legacy did so well, was just how cinematic it is with all the things you're opening, and it's going through a specific... I know the second one isn't as on rails, I don't think, but I haven't played it. But the first one's very much like you open this and you do this and you're doing these things, and there's things that are constantly unlocking and new ways to play the game. You know, it's kind of interesting. Yeah.
Boom. That's what it is.
That is what it is. Awesome, guys. Well, do you guys have anything else to say about innovation in gaming? Should designers keep it up, or should they just remake Rhino Hero?
They better keep it up. No, they have to keep it up, or they're not going to prosper. Because if you don't keep it up, I'll tell you now, you won't be able to compete with CMON or FFG. So unless you get a job with them, you better keep it up.
Yeah. It's like there's all these games out there now that you have to have something. I mean, you can't play all of the good games. Like we used to say, hey, there's only so many like good games out there, and you have to have a really good game for people to notice. Well, now there's tons and tons of great games. Like there's way too many really good games for people to even play all of the good ones. So you have to be good and have something different, like some sort of flair, some sort of reason that people really want to play it, whether it just looks really good, plays really well, like just it has these different aspects, whether it's like, oh man, it's like Century. What makes Century so interesting? You're just doing all these different cubes. Well, it plays really, really fast and it's just really tight. Like you got to have those sort of things that are just set your game apart, you know?
How do you make your game better when 1,000 other games are coming out this weekend at Essen?
Yeah.
How do you set yourself apart?
That's gotta do something.
You gotta do something.
Yep. Odo, guys. Well, I guess this has been a podcast. It's definitely been fun having everybody in chat with us. Thanks, everybody, for joining us. If you'd like to join us while we're doing these live, make sure to check it out Tuesday nights at 9 p.m. Eastern Time at youtube.com/Epic Gaming Night. Also, we want to say thank you to all of our amazing patrons. Thank you so much for supporting us on Patreon. And you can, if you want to support Epic Gaming Night and like what we're doing, check us out at patreon.com/Epic Gaming Night. Also, make sure to check out our Twitter and Instagram at Epic Gaming Night, at Shades of the Mind, and at writing.newman.
Boom.
All of them. Follow all of them, especially Shades of the Mind, because he needs more friends. No, I'm just kidding. Sorry, man. Watch all his things. Make sure to hit the bell icon on Matt's stuff. No, I'm just kidding. What? Be notified by all of his posts, or else you might miss them.
Yeah, man, you might get that one coming up next year.
I'm gonna take over Matt's account while we're at the cabin and just start posting from there instead. I'm just kidding.
Memes.
Memes. Pizza memes. Awesome, guys. Well, thanks, everybody. It's been great.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, for sure. We'll see you guys on the next one.
Bye.
Peace, everybody. See ya.